Hi there, good evening. Welcome to this evening's Condo Review Board dated Monday, November 25th, 2024. Pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of the Condo Review Board will be conducted via remote participation. We will post an audio recording, audio-video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of these proceedings as soon as possible following the meeting on the City of Somerville's website and local cable access government channels. Morena, if you could please conduct a roll call vote to ensure we have a quorum.
Okay. Chair Zaslav?
Present.
Vice Chair Byrne?
Present.
Board Member Champion? Board Member Champion? Board Member Champion is absent. Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
Board Member Solis?
Yes.
With 4 in attendance, we have a quorum.
Fantastic. At this time, I will call this meeting to order. And first item is new business, applications for final or courtesy permits. And the first application in front of the board this evening for review is the application of Colleen Gillard and William Wells. And they are seeking their final conversion permits for units 1 and 2 and a courtesy permit for unit 3 at 37 Bank Street.
If the representative could just raise their virtual hand, then I can unmute you.
Yes, Mark Sheen of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for Colleen Gillard and William Wells of 37 Bank Street. My client is seeking a final conversion permit for units 1 and 2 and a courtesy permit for unit 3 of this multifamily residence. My clients have submitted the remaining 2 items required by the board, which were a master deed and property condition report. So now the board has a complete application. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Attorney Sheehan. At this time, I will make a motion to open the floor for board discussion. If there's any questions or comments for the representative regarding the final conversion permit in front of us.
No, Chair. No
No
question.
All right, seeing no questions amongst the board, motion to close the floor and motion to open the floor for public commenting. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against this application this evening, that would be the time to do so.
I don't see any hands.
All right, public comments are closed. Seeing that we were awaiting the final 2 documents, the master deed and the engineer architecture's report, and with no other outstanding items due at this time, I will now make a motion for the board to vote on the final conversion permit for units 1 and 2 and a courtesy permit for unit 3 located at 37 Bank Street.
Okay. This is a vote for final conversion permits for units 1 and 2 and a courtesy permit for unit 3 at 37 Bank Street. Chair Zaslav?
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne?
Yes.
Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
Board Member Solis?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving along, the next application is that of 156 Albion Street. That's the application of 156 Albion LLC. Narajan Gali, who's seeking a final conversion permit for units 1 and unit 2 located at 156 Albion Street.
Yes, Mark Sheen of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for Narajan Gali of 156 Albion Street. My client is seeking a final conversion permit for units 1 and 2 of this multifamily residence. My client has submitted the remaining 2 items required by the board, which were a master deed and a property condition report. So now the board has a complete application. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Motion to open the floor for board discussion or questions for the representative.
No question.
No questions.
Okay, seeing there's no questions or discussion, motion to close the floor for board discussion and make a motion to open the floor for public comments for 156 Albion Street.
I don't see any hands.
Seeing there are no public comments, motion to close the public commenting period for 156 Albion Street. Seeing that we were waiting the two outstanding documents, master deed, engineer architect's report, and they have now been submitted. See no reason to hold up a vote. So at this time, I will make a motion for the board to vote on the final conversion permits for units 1 and 2 located at 156 Albion Street.
Okay, this is a vote for a final conversion permits for units 1 and 2 at 156 Albion Street. Chair Zasloff,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Great. Moving along, next application in front of the board is 56 Putnam Street, Unit 1. It's the application of 56 Putnam LLC, Lucas Mendez, Garcia, and James Douglas, who are seeking a final conversion permit for Unit 1 located at 56 Putnam Street.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hey, thank you. My name is Matt Spang. I'm the attorney representing the 56 Putnam LLC. Tonight, we're before the board seeking a final conversion permit for Unit 1. A preliminary non-rental conversion permit was issued in the meeting back in July. The outstanding items for that were the master deed and the engineer's report, which have now been submitted to the board.
Okay, so at this time, I'll motion to open the floor for board discussions or questions for the representative.
No question.
No question.
All right, seeing no further comments or questions for the attorney on this property, 56 Putnam. Motion to close the floor for board discussion and motion to open the floor for public commenting. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against this application at 56 Putnam Street, now would be the time to do so.
I don't see any hands.
Floor for motion to close the floor for public commenting. And seeing that we have the final two outstanding documents submitted at this time, which completes the application for 56 Putnam Street, I'd like to make a motion for the board to vote on the final conversion permit for Unit 1 located at 56 Putnam Street.
Okay, this is a vote for final conversion permits for Unit 1 at 56 Putnam Street. Chair Zasloff,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right. Moving along through this evening's agenda, we're on to the preliminary condo conversion permit portion of the agenda. First application in front of the board is 182-186 Tremont Street. And that is the application of SEMS Holdings LLC, Sanjay Kansagra, who's seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for Unit 1 through Unit 6 at 182-186 Tremont Street.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Mark Sheen of Adam Dash and Associates, attorney for Sanjay Kansagra of 182 through 186 Tremont Street. My client is seeking a preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 through 6 of this property. The property was purchased vacant by my client and has been that way for over 1 year. We have submitted the complete application, paid final water bill, certificate of good standing, and a bank check payable to the city of Somerville for $3,600. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Motion to open the floor for board discussion, questions or comments for the attorney.
At the attorney, it is, you said it is vacant since a year. And is that someone living there before a year when the clients bought it?
Yes, we don't have access to that information. We just know that it's been vacant for over a year. The building had a lot of issues with it, health-related issues. So my client had to do a full gut rehab. There was rodent issues, so I do not have the answer if there was anyone in there. I'm sure there was beyond a year, but we know that there was not anyone in there for the last year.
Hmm. But did you try to find out at least if the people is living there, and there's the reason they take off before they leave, before they put it to sell?
Yeah, so we just spoke to the former owner, and again, he said that there was not any tenants in there for a year. We got the date on that, but because the ordinance does not require the tenant information of anyone beyond a year, we did not obtain that information.
Okay, thank you.
Board member Simeon, any other questions?
Well, if it's like it is for a year, that means it's a very short, short time, and then I think we might go deeply and find out, because you never know those people before and what's going on exactly, how they get there, what they get out, if prior to that sale, and that's a ring right there. And I don't know if they can provide something, at least they can allow us to move on. I don't know if someone else has some things to add, but it's like we might need more info on that.
Floor is open to other board members if anyone would like to speak or comment.
Yeah, so Jennifer here. Remind me of the date, I'm sorry, of purchase.
The date of purchase was February of 2024.
Okay, so, yeah, I guess if it's already been gutted and everything, if it's, I don't know, to my colleague's point, just sort of, we do like to, even though it's not listed in maybe as a requirement, we do like to find out a little bit more information, other than sort of sometimes a landlord will just, or a seller will just say it's been vacant for a year as like a blanket statement to, just get around things. So is there anything we can see as far as like what we have access to in the city, just if there are tenants listed for more recently than 12 months from the application? Or I don't know if we have any other tools to just see if there's anyone else if there's anyone that should be notified, or if we just take the landlords, it's been a year, if we take that at face value. I don't know.
Sorry, board member Solis, was that question
Sorry,
directed
yeah.
at me?
Sorry, Marina. If I don't know what do we check voting records, or I know is there anything we check to just see if there's anyone listed as a tenant there for the, just to make sure we're covering ourselves, or we just take
So the records that I would have access to are not things that are updated sort of on an annual basis.
right.
So I would not be able to rely on them, I guess, unless somebody, I don't know, maybe registered to vote in like June of this year at that address.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would have access to any sort of records that would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I don't know I don't know, Chair Zaslav or Board Member Byrne, if you're satisfied or if there's anything else we can look into, but it would be great to have an affidavit or something, but I don't know if we can do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking as a chair from and again, this kind of goes back to a lot of the most recent meetings, from a procedural standpoint, it's you know, requesting that and holding up the conditional pieces is out of the scope of our roles. I do know we have a discussion at the end of tonight's meeting, that we're, you know, it's going to be an open forum amongst the board where we can sort of discuss this stuff and sort of these the way the ordinance is currently on the books. But from a procedural standpoint, I mean, we can't make them do anything outside the scope of the way the ordinance is necessarily written, is I guess what I would say. And again, I'm open to hearing from Vice Chair Byrne or anyone else.
I'll just say that I am not excited about this. And I'm not excited about it, but I feel like just exactly what you said, Zach, that there's not a whole lot of places that we can go to with it. And I think that's unfortunate, but I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's, you know, our frustration is, you know, been voiced enough to where we do have a discussion on the end of this evening's agenda. And hopefully we can make some headway there and you know, advise, provide some recommendations or guidance to the city council to potentially mull. Any other discussion amongst the board?
I think most of it is just for the latter part, but I guess I have a quick question that is sort of procedural, but it might, Zach, if it's more for later, just say we'll talk about under the other agenda item. But I'm just wondering, so like in a case like this, if tenant was to later come forward and say, I lived there within the 12 months of the application and wasn't notified, just, you know, just to sort of put the attorney and you know, applicant on notice, what happens in that case?
I would have to defer to Morena city staff and or city legal for guidance.
Okay.
Through the chair. So that is actually one of the reasons why the board receives the 1-year notice period. It's to give the opportunity on the chance that a tenant may hear that a property is being converted and they fall within that timeline. So they would need to reach out to me, and then we would sort of go about. We haven't had that happen. So I'm sure that there's ways that we would be able to establish a tenancy. And then the board could bring the property back or the application before back to a meeting for a compliance matter. And so then things would sort of, the notice periods would get, or the notice periods would reset. The board would establish whether or not the tenant has rights, things like that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So obviously if I don't think there's anything else we can do, but just Attorney Sheehan, just as long as, you know, you're aware that if anyone was to come forward, just because sometimes it's in the seller's best interest to say the place has been vacant. So just making sure we're all doing our due diligence to make sure that that's an accurate statement. But again, outside of our scope, but just letting you know that, you know, if someone did come forward, it could be brought back. But that's all I have.
And
Okay.
if I may respond to that, board member Solis, you mentioned an affidavit. So with the application, the client is signing an affidavit that, to the best of their knowledge, whether or not there's any tenants that reside in the property in the last 12 months. So they are signing that affidavit, and you know, they take that very serious. So that is with the application.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Attorney Sheehan. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for that clarification. Seeing no further discussion amongst the board, motion to close the floor and motion to open the public commenting period for 182-186 Tremont Street. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against this application this evening, now would be the time to do so.
I don't see any hands.
Okay, public commenting period is closed. In reviewing the contents of the application, we do have the affidavit stating that the property was vacant. There we have the certificate of good standing, we have a paid water bill, and we have the quitclaim deed. And also a check in the amount of 3,600 to cover the units in question. At this time, we are still awaiting a master deed and engineer / architect's report. So I am comfortable making a motion for the board to vote on a conditional preliminary rental conversion permit for units 1 through unit 6 located at 182-186 Tremont Street on the condition that the master deed and engineer or architect's report is submitted to city staff at a future date.
Okay, this is a vote for conditional preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 through 6 at 182-186 Tremont Street, conditioned as Chair Zasloff just stated. Chair Zasloff,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night and have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.
You
Thanks.
too.
All right, moving along, next application from the board is 99 West Adams Street, application JCW Corporation, seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for unit 1 and unit 2 at 99 West Adams Street.
Hello. Hi, this is Helen Chow from JCW Corporation. We purchased this property in August this year as a vacant. We have submitted all the required documentation following the condo conversion guidance. We are seeking for a preliminary rental conversion permit for the unit 1 and unit 2 at this location.
Okay, thank you. Motion to open the floor for board discussions or questions for the applicant. Seeing there's no questions or comments for the applicant.
Yes, there is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vice Chair Byrne.
So again, this is a situation where it was purchased in just a couple of months ago. And I'm curious as to what happened with the tenants in that building. And also, yeah, that's what I'm interested in, what happened with the tenants in the building, and could we know more about that, please?
I don't know the tenants, but from the sales realtor, I was told they moved out. One of them moved out of the state. Another one moved to some area of the Massachusetts. I'm not quite sure where they are, but I did get their emails and send it to the Madura already. I also asked them to send the required documentation to them, but both of them said they don't want to receive that. I just don't know why they moved out. When we purchased it, it's already a vacant.
And I'm sorry, if I could just ask Marina, was there any sort of, I don't recall seeing anything from the former tenants asking not to be contacted.
There was in the cover sheet, it says that I think it's for this one, that the thing wasn't printing correctly. So I've got screenshots that the applicant submitted showing where she's texting with one of the previous tenants who wasn't where the tenant did say that she did not want to receive any other communication. And then for the tenant in the second unit, we had an address in California, which is where they received their notice, which had to go by mail, which is why you don't have something in the folder for that. But Attorney Thiel was kind enough to mail it for me while I was out of the office. But the two tenants were contacted and were informed. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Any other questions from the board regarding tenant outreach or anything else regarding the application at 99 West Adams Street?
Nope.
All right. Motion to close the floor for board discussion. Motion to open the public commenting period. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against the application at 99 West Adams Street, now would be the time to do so.
I don't see any hands.
Motion to close public commenting. In reviewing the application, notice was given to both former tenants. We have the certificate of good standing. We have a paid water bill. We have the quitclaim deed, and we have a check in the amount of $1,200 to cover the 2 units in question. This time we are still awaiting a master deed and an engineer / architect's report. I'm comfortable motioning for the board to vote on a conditional preliminary rental conversion permit for units 1 and 2 located at 99 West Adams Street on the condition that the 2 outstanding documents, a master deed and an engineer / architect's report, is submitted to city staff at a future date.
Okay, this is a vote for conditional preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and 2 at 99 West Adams Street, conditioned as Chair Zasloff just stated. Chair Zasloff,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Moving along, next application for preliminary rental conversion permits is that of 17-19 High Street. And that's the application of Sanjay Dongshi, who's seeking the preliminary rental conversion permits for unit 17 and a preliminary non-rental conversion permit for unit 19, both located at 17-19 High Street.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Roland, 424 Broadway, representing the applicant Zangi Dongshi with regards to the application for a preliminary conversion permit for Unit 17 and a preliminary non-rental conversion permit for Unit 19. Submitted for your consideration today is the completed application, the paid final water bill with receipt, certificate of good standing from the city of Somerville, quitclaim deed dated September 1st, 2015, notice to the prior tenant, the affidavit of the current owner occupant, Tenzin Dongshi, voter roll records proving his occupation or occupancy of the unit, number 19 High Street. This property was purchased by the Dongshi family in September 28, 2021. It was deeded to the applicant on or about September 1st, 2015. Since purchasing the property back in 2001, various members of the family have occupied unit 19 High Street. The current occupant is Tenzin Dongshi. The unit at 17 High Street has been occupied by various tenants throughout the years. The most recent tenant vacated on about July 31st, 2024. And the unit has remained vacant. Notice to that tenant has been provided. As such, the applicant requests a preliminary conversion permit for unit 17 as the master deed and structural engineering report have not been provided and the 1-year waiting period must toll for vacant units. And then requests a non-rental conversion permit for unit 19 as it is owner occupied.
Okay, thank you. Motion to open the floor for board discussion. Any comments or questions for the attorney representing 17-19 High Street?
No question.
Seeing no questions from the board, motion to close the floor for board discussion. And motion to open up the public commenting period. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against the application in front of the board for 17-19 High Street, now would be the time to do so.
I don't see any hands.
All right. Motion to close the floor for public commentary. this time. In reviewing the application, we have the preliminary rental conversion application for 17 and a preliminary non-rental conversion for unit 19, which was owner occupied. We have the certificate of good standing, paid water bill, quitclaim deed, and a check in the amount of $1,200 for the 2 units in question. At this time, I'm comfortable making a motion for the board to vote on a conditional preliminary rental conversion permit for unit 17 and a conditional preliminary non-rental conversion permit for unit 19 at 17-19 High Street on the condition that the master deed and engineer/architect's report is submitted to city staff at a future date.
Okay, this is a vote for conditional preliminary rental conversion permits for unit 17 and conditional preliminary non-rental conversion permits for units 19 at 17-19 High Street, conditioned as Chair Zasloff just stated. Chair Zasloff?
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne?
Yes.
Board Member Simeon?
Yes.
Board Member Solis?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. All right, continuing along, we have the next application for 26 Pearson Avenue, application of Mary Martinson and James Scaringi, who are seeking a preliminary rental conversion permit for unit 1 and a preliminary non-rental conversion permits for units 2 and 3 located at 26 Pearson Ave.
I have this one again, Brianna Rowland, 424 Broadway. The applicants, Mary Martinson and James Scaringi, are requesting a preliminary conversion permit for unit number 1 and a preliminary non-rental conversion for permits number 2 for units number 2 and 3. For your consideration, we have presented to you a completed application, a final water bill receipt, good standing within the city of Somerville, quitclaim dated May 15, 2000, owner affidavit and proof of occupancy, notice to the prior tenants, and as well as a check for $1,800. The applicants purchased the property on or about May 15, 2000. Since purchasing the property, the applicants have occupied units 2 and 3 continuously as they were a single unit. The tenants who occupy unit 1 voluntarily vacated their unit on or about September 19, 2024, as they received a job offer in California. Proof of the notes of the tenants, as well as text conversation with the tenants indicating that they were vacating due to a job opportunity, have been provided. As such, the applicants request a preliminary conversion permit for unit 1 and a preliminary non-rental conversion permits for units 2 and 3 as they are owner occupied.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion to open the floor for board discussion, comments or questions for the attorney.
No question.
Seeing there's no discussion, questions for the applicant. Motion to close the floor for board discussion and motion to open the public commenting period. Anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against the application from the board at 26 Pearson Ave, now would be the time to do so.
I don't see any hands.
Public commenting period is closed. In reviewing the application, we have the certificate of good standing, we have a paid water bill, we have the quitclaim deed and a check in the amount of $1,800 to cover the 3 units in question. Unit 1 was vacated on September 19th due to job relocation, and the other 2 units in question were previously owner occupied. At this time, I will now make a motion for the board to vote on a conditional preliminary rental conversion permit for unit 1 and a conditional preliminary non-rental conversion permit for unit 2 and 3 at 26 Pearson Avenue on the condition that the master deed and engineer/architect's report is submitted to city staff at a future date.
Okay, this is a vote for conditional preliminary rental conversion permits for unit 1 and a conditional preliminary non-rental conversion permit for unit 2 and 3 at 26 Pearson Avenue, conditioned as Chair Zasloff just stated. Chair Zasloff,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Right, we are on to our final application in front of the board for preliminary condo conversion permits, and that application is 23 College Hill Road, Property Acquisition Group LLC, Rep. Michael DePlatzi, seeking a preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and 2 at 23 College Hill Road.
Good evening. I'm covering this one as well. Property Acquisitions Group, the applicant is requesting a rental conversion permit for units 1 and 2. For your consideration, we've presented to you a completed application. A quick claim deed dated June 4th, 2024, recorded on June 20th, 2024. Corporate information for Property Acquisition Group LLC, the final water bill and receipt, and the certificate of good standing for the city of Somerville. In addition, we have also provided the names and contact information for the former tenants that we were able to acquire from the seller's attorney. The property was purchased on or about June 20th, 2024, and has remained vacant. Efforts have been made to contact the former tenants via phone. The only information we could obtain were phone numbers. I was able to successfully contact 2 of the tenants, one in unit 1 and the other in unit 2. The other 2 tenants I was able to leave voicemails for, but I've tried again to reach them by phone, and it did not have any success. As such, the applicant is requesting a preliminary rental conversion permit for units 1 and 2, as a property has been purchased vacant and efforts have been made to contact the prior tenants.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I will now motion to open the floor for questions, open the floor for board discussion. If there's any questions or comments for the attorney representing 23 College Hill Road, now would be the time to do so. And there is no comments or questions. I have one question for the attorney. Was the outreach by phone only, or were there text messages sent?
By phone only. I've reached out to him by telephone. It took me 2 months to even get the phone numbers from the prior owner's attorney. I've made several phone calls and voicemails to these tenants. 2 answered, and I had 1 for each unit did answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And did they provide any feedback as to the reason they vacated?
No, the only Shawnee Sloop, the tenant in unit 1, indicated she had no further interest in the property, and tenant Kanan Fernandez also indicated he was not very interested in the conversation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Was there anything in writing? I didn't see anything in writing.
No, I only had was phone numbers. I was able to get some emails so I could provide to the city, but all I was given were phone numbers from the prior owner. They didn't have any other contact information. And again, it took me 2 months to even get the phone numbers.
But I'm asking, you know, when you spoke to the 2 tenants that you spoke to, did you ask them for anything in writing and any kind of affidavit that they moved because they wanted to, or?
I didn't get anything from writing from the tenants.
I would like to know if the city has a way to enforce those, cases, because as we can see, it's like most of the last application, it's like the same thing. They cannot contact people now, and we have to find a way to at least get some information, because it's like I don't know, it's like we always get to a dead end where we just don't have information we should have.
Through the chair, if I may respond. So the rules were updated last fall, in fall of 2023, putting in extra requirements for where applicants were expected to sort of search for contact information for former tenants in these sorts of situations, so that we were no longer getting sort of just a baseline. We don't have that. So there were requirement, and there are examples listed in the rules for, you know, contact the parking department or the voter registration. But excuse me, the like an email address, unfortunately, would not be part of what they'd be able to get from the voter registration. At least that's not what I've ever seen on the voter registration logs or things that the city keeps. So for this application, we had to go with the phone numbers. We did get some email addresses. The email addresses that we did get, they did get noticed via email. But excuse me, for the applicants that it was by phone number, it's sort of hard to require, or I don't know where else they could look for like a way to contact them in writing.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, the only thing I would suggest is, you know, to the attorneys out there in the future is just, you know, I would outreach via text message in hopes that you could get something in writing that you could share with city staff that just, you know, clearly makes the effort black and white and leaves little room for interpretation from the board. So that would just be my recommendation.
Yeah, I have to say, it makes me very uncomfortable when, you know, when what I hear is, well, I tried to contact them or I contacted them and they're not interested. And yet we don't have anything that says that. And I find that really uncomfortable to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that segues into, you know, item 3 on the agenda, which, you know, we can talk through. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay. Seeing there's no more commentary from the board, the floor is now closed. Motion to open the floor for public discussion. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to speak in favor or against the application at 23 College Hill Road, now would be the time to do so.
I don't see any hands.
Okay. Public commenting period is now closed. In reviewing the application, we have the certificate of good standing submitted, dated 9/23. We have a paid water bill dated 10/25. We have the quitclaim deed in hand, and we have a check in the amount of $1,200. At this time, we are still awaiting a master deed and an engineer's report. So I will make a motion for the board to vote on a conditional preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and unit 2 at 23 College Hill Road, on the condition that the master deed and engineer's report is submitted to the city staff at a future date.
Okay, this is a vote for conditional preliminary rental conversion permits for units 1 and 2 at 23 College Hill Road. Chair Zasloff,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
And very uncomfortable, yes.
Board Member Simeon,
Yes.
Board Member Solis,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Okay. With that, that concludes the application portion of tonight's agenda. And then we move on to item 3, which is a open discussion amongst the board on concerns regarding the scope of the ordinance and potential recommendations for revisions. So at this time, I would motion open the floor for board discussion on these topics. You know, why we can discuss it here, I think, you know, it's probably a good idea for us to put a working group committee together to really dive into the details on this stuff. But again, at this time, floor is open for board discussion. I guess I would defer to Attorney Thiel if he has any recommendations or advice on this discussion or how this should sort of play out.
Sure. Excuse me. Yeah, so I know at the last meeting we had recommended having this time placed for a general discussion on concerns regarding the scope of the ordinance. I know that there has been a number of concerns presented, I think really, which we saw again tonight regarding, you know, vacant units and the ability of the ordinance to regulate when, you know, there is a sale. Shortly after the sale, then there's, you know, the application comes before the board, but it comes before the board now as a vacant unit. And is that really, you know, can the ordinance capture more of those situations where, you know, there is the transfer seems to be anticipating this conversion process. So as far as kind of how we want to handle this discussion, I think, you know, the point of having this placeholder is to allow kind of a little bit more of the free-flowing discussions that I think the board seems to have wanted to have. I know Morena and I have connected with Ellen Schachter, Director of the Office of Housing Stability, and colleagues in the law department as well about kind of process going forward. I think the important thing to know is that, and I think this is well known in this board, that when the ordinance was kind of went through a rebirth in 2019, there was a lot of focus on making sure that, you know, the board, as part of the special act that the city received, one of the stated purposes is for the protection of tenants that are evicted in anticipation of a conversion. So this ordinance, there was a lot of thought put into the ordinance at the time to accomplish that goal. So I'm a short way of saying, I think that, you know, a smaller group discussion would be beneficial, and understanding that, you know, this ordinance was very deliberately drafted at the time to be protective. And, you know, we are operating in a larger you know, we're operating within a commonwealth that does not have good cause evictions. So there are certain, you know, buckets of what is the city regulating here. It's the conversion of condominiums. Like, so it's long-winded way, I think, of saying the floor is yours. I think we can ideas about specific provisions of the ordinance that can be more protective and how we could adjust that, I think are best suited for a smaller working group, but happy to kind of hear how the discussion goes and provide commentary as needed.
Sure. Thank you for that clarification.
Mm-hmm.
So the floor is open to the board, and whoever would like to speak first. I mean, I think we all feel very much the same way. So just for, you know, purposes of time and whatnot, I'd rather not rehash what we've hashed out for 6 months throughout meetings. So, you know, let's try to keep it high level on topic. And then I think the takeaway is, you know, what's that working committee look like? Who would like to volunteer for it? Let's get it in place and let's start the real action behind the scenes. With
Chair Zazzle,
that working group.
if I may, just to add a little bit of context to the board. So I pulled together some quick data regarding applications that were filed from before the ordinance underwent its big overhaul in 2019 and after. So fiscal year 2018, we saw 98 applications. 2019, we got a big rush as people tried to get their applications in prior to the ordinance change. So there were 167. 2020 saw 94. And then since then, we've seen a very significant decline in number of applications. Now, we don't know if this is the ordinance. We don't know if this is COVID, market forces, the cost of construction, everything. But since 21, we've seen 50 applications, then 22 saw 72, 23 was 42, and 24 was 48. So these are pretty big differences from prior to the chain. Just want to sort of put that into context for the board. And then I also want to make the board aware, in case you were not aware, that the Housing and Community Development Committee did actually bring up the board's concerns for discussion at their meeting on last Thursday. OHS Director Ellen Schachter was there, and she spoke a bit about what we had been sort of discussing internally. So your concerns to the council are being heard and they are being discussed. So I didn't want you all to think that it was just going into sort of a void of nothingness. They are actually talking about it and making sure that your concerns are also expressed to staff.
Yeah, no, I love the data points. Without data, we're left to make assumptions, and sometimes this stuff's emotional and it feels like more is happening than reality. And I think the trajectory of that data, I'm sure there's a combination of several things at play, but 2021 where interest rates were at the lowest in the last 30, 40 years, and we only saw, am I correct, 50 applications that year? And again, then it jumps 72, 42, 48. But at the same time, it's significantly less than prior. So even if inflation and interest rates were playing a part in 23, 24, I have to believe that the ordinance does do its purpose when you're looking at only 50 applications in the lowest interest rate period for property acquisition the last, I don't have it's got to be at least the last 20, 30 years. So let's not be totally discouraged. We are serving a purpose on this board as board members, and it is actively mitigating displacement. So just food for thought. But again, floor is open. Anyone has comments? Board member Solis?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. There's so many forces at, housing stock and all that. I don't doubt that the ordinance is doing a good job in making a positive impact at all. But I just think, when even one application, we feel like slips through without, when we have concerns that, we always want to be improving. Even though I think we all know we're very lucky to be in the city we are in the state we are, considering all of these protections we have for tenants. So I think for me, the most organized way to think of it is just, and I don't know if this is for now or if this is for the working group, but is just like, there are certainly, I would say there's like 2 or 3 like specific types of applications that come, or types of circumstances that come that give us that pause. And, so whether it's for now or for the working group, the way sort of my thoughts start to organize around it are just, what are the specific instances that cause us or give us the most concern, where even when we're operating within the parameters of the ordinance, that we sort of have this like icky feeling like we don't know that we really protected the best we can. And I think there's like, you know, very specific types of instances. And so then, you know, what for those is possible, you know, are there any additional provisions or whatever that in those circumstances specifically would, you know, would help. But, you know, I'm happy to listen to what everybody else has to say. And you know, it's not that I don't feel good about the general work that we do, but I just, yeah, I don't trust everyone that comes on these calls, and sometimes they say things and I'm just like, oh my Lord, it sounds like you're skirting things. And, you know, so is there anything we can do to sort of hold people's feet to the fire? Because there's plenty of people that are trying to do things right, but there are always people that aren't. And so what provisions can we add for those instances?
Yeah, no, I that's all fantastic food for thought, and let's hold that thought for now, and let's allow Vice Chair Byrne, I believe she had her hand up.
Well, I took it down because, you know, board member Solis said basically what I would have said, you know, that it's when these, I mean, we go along and we get along, and then there's like some egregious case that comes up that is just horrible. And, you know, I mean, I think of the 75-year-old disabled woman who got, you know, lost her housing and, you know, came to us, you know, and talked with us about that. I mean, that to me is just so heartbreaking. And, you know, so those are the things that I look towards, wanting to change.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is my member scenario. That's you know, we have the same, you know, the same thought, the same thing, and then but I don't want to repeat the whole things. But it is still heartbroken, and to see sometimes, and then you know, it's like it doesn't make sense, but and you don't have your way around it, and then you have to just let it go. That's those things I think. It's like we definitively not satisfied, you know, when we see those kind of things. But anyway, we hope, you know, since we start talking about it, and the good thing is, and when you have a case and you recognize the fight on it, and then it's halfway resolved. But that's the way I see it.
Yep. No, I mean, it's, again, I think we're all on the same page, and you know, with our frustration and limitations, and I think that's why we're having this discussion. You know, we're brave enough as a board to bubble it up and not just, you know, settle for the status quo. So, you know, my recommendation would be, you know, first, is there anyone that would like to volunteer on the committee or the working group? And or we, you know, let's diversify it. It would be good to have, you know, one representative that is a renter and one representative that is a homeowner participate in, and you would work in conjunction with city staff and city council along with public commenting to you know, you solicit public comment and convene the group and work to find alternative avenues in which the ordinance can be enhanced. Anyone want to volunteer to?
I do. I do.
We're going to volunteer, Vice Chair. I was going to nominate you if you didn't.
Yeah, I do.
And which would you represent? Would you be a representative of a homeowner or renter?
A renter.
Okay. Do we have any other homeowners on the board? And again, it doesn't have to be a homeowner, but you know, it's sort of encompasses the makeup of how the board is allocated. So I guess I would defer to city staff. Does it have to include a homeowner representative if?
It doesn't. There's no requirement that that happen. But just because that's the makeup of the board,
Mhm.
it's 2 homeowners, 2 renters. Though the one of the renter seats is vacant, and then a low income or moderate or senior tenant.
So I'm actually, I believe I'm actually the senior rep and on the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
But you would fill the,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I would be happy to be involved, but if, you know, I would also defer to if it was better to have a diverse mix. I'm also on as a renter. And I would also just have to see what not super specific, but just a little bit in general about like the time commitment, just so I don't overcommit, but I would certainly be interested in participating in some way.
Mm-hmm. And board member Simeon,
I'm just thinking about the timing and you know, and I don't want to double deep on my schedule, and when we have to do something and I just escape you or not be there. Yes, that's only one concern I have.
okay. I guess question for city staff, do we have to define the committee tonight in the public forum? Can we make a recommendation to create the committee and determine who would serve in those roles? At a different, or?
If are you saying defer it to a different board meeting or?
Well, I mean, I think we all in agreement that, you know, creating a working group committee to work in conjunction with city council, the housing division, you know, the stakeholders. And we have one commitment from board member Byrne. It sounds like we have other board members who need to sort of evaluate their schedules from a participation commitment standpoint. So could we make the recommendation to create the committee, name Vice Chair Byrne as the acting chair of the committee for the condo review board, and then name a second participant at a future date meeting?
Yeah, I think just for sort of the public record's sake, if we just say who the 2 participants are at one of the next couple meetings, once folks decide who's able to participate, then that would be fine.
Yeah. Okay. And then that's sufficient, and just announcing at a future date as well. I think the board, if you know, I know the holidays are coming up, but if the board is able, the working group, excuse me, is able to meet, I don't think you have to wait to actually nominate that person to the working group.
Okay.
Because it's just added to working group.
So
can I ask a question? Would it be assumed that those meetings would take place during the day?
Yes, I think that's safe to assume.
So I think that might inform people who are thinking about whether or not they can do it, how that would work. So I don't know if that makes any difference.
no,
Yeah, I guess for me, for thinking about participating, I mean, I would prefer to participate rather than not. But I just don't know like what the steps are to figure out how much time is going to be involved, like who determines that, or is it, you know what I mean? Like I have for weekdays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I am free, but like it would pretty much need to be those days. You know what I mean? Like I do have some limitations. So I don't know what the step is to figure out, you know, is it going to be a a once a month meeting for a couple hours? Is it gonna be research on our own? Like, I don't know what it looks like at all, so I really want to do it, but I don't know how to get a estimate about what the involvement looks like.
I mean, I would suggest that you know, participate, and we board members, if for some reason it's not working out for your schedule, we could always, name another participant
Okay.
in the working group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that. I see,
Attorney,
Attorney Thial's hand up, maybe, I don't know,
And,
but yeah,
just members, if it's helpful, I do anticipate, like I think we're not going to know exact times until we're in
right.
it. But that
Mhm.
being said, there will be myself, Morena, city staff, like research. We can work with the working group members, and
Yep.
my expectation, our understanding is that the bulk of the work, we want your commentary, we want your experience being on the
Mhm.
board, but I think research and things like that are going to fall on city staff.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we can be,
Yeah, I mean, if people are comfortable with me being named as the second person and just, assessing if that needs to change, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, what we can do is if you decide to go, and then I can be your backup, or I can be a backup for either or. That's I think that will make it easy.
That would be great, Alex.
Yeah, yeah. If we do the backup, that's
Actually, sorry to not to cut you off. That actually would violate open meeting law.
Oh, okay.
Because the board participants of the working group cannot discuss what the working group is handling or working on with other board members. So we cannot have an alternate. I do appreciate the suggestion though, board member Simeon, but unfortunately that's not possible.
okay.
So, city staff, do we need to make a motion to vote on the working group, or is it just a recommendation and then it will be formed, with the city counterparts and stakeholders?
So I would, before voting, I think you should still open it up for public comment because it is an item on the agenda. I think, yes, voting for forming the working group is probably just sort of puts the bow on it. And then also if you are requesting public comment, just sort of verbalize that so that the anyone in the virtual audience is aware that they're able to submit public comment to the working group. And that can come to me through the condo board email.
Okay, great. All right. So at this time, I will motion to close the floor from board discussion in regards to forming a working group to further research the condo review ordinance and what other options and tools that may be at our disposal to enhance the ordinance. So at this time, I will motion to open the floor for public commentary. I know we have a couple attorneys still on the call, and anyone else in the virtual audience that would like to speak.
I don't see any hands.
Right, and we will also be accepting public commentary following the meeting, which can be sent directly to city staff. Raina, if anyone doesn't want to speak up at tonight's meeting on the record, but wants to submit something in writing. Okay, on that note, I would like to make a motion for the board to vote on forming a working group to tackle potential alternative levers and tools to enhance the condo review board ordinance. And you would be working in conjunction with city staff. from legal to the housing division and such. So on that note, Marina, if we could take a roll call vote on forming the committee or working group.
Okay, this is a vote to form a working group as Chair Zasloff just stated. Chair Zasloff,
Yes.
Vice Chair Byrne,
Yes.
Board Member Solis,
Yes.
Board Member Simeon.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Great. And on that note, we are at the end of this evening's agenda. I wish everyone a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you get to spend time with family and loved ones. And on that note, I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting if we can get a second.
I'll second.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy
Have a good
Thanksgiving.
holiday.
Thanksgiving.
Have a nice holiday. Thank you. Bye bye.
Take care.
Take care.